So what would you say to a child who's, say, about 8 years old or 10 years old, they've persevered at school for so long, they've tried so hard, and they've felt really stupid so many times, and now they've been told, oh, you've got dyslexia, that's why it's hard. What would be your encouragement or advice to that child?
So often we take our cues about how we feel about ourselves from what everyone else is saying, what everyone else is doing, but no one really understands who you are or what you struggle with. So how would they know you? How could they understand what it's like to be you? And while you might not be able to do some things well, I'm sure there's 100 things you can do very well. So I suppose it's giving yourself a break and allowing yourself to focus on the things that you are good at and you are happy about, and letting the words of everyone else just kind of wash off and fall away, rather than placing your whole sense of who you are as a person based on what someone else thinks about you, or some rule about what you should or shouldn't be able to do by the time you're 8. How would they know they're not you?
What would you say to the child who looks around the classroom, sees other people can do these things that I can't do? They can read easily, they can write effortlessly. I'm not like that. What would you say to that young person?
Well, it's easy to compare yourself to others, but it never produces a great result, because even if you're doing well at everything and you compare yourself to those who are not doing as well as you, well, that's going to cause you to be lazy and to not put in any effort. So comparing yourself to those who are further down the road or not as far down the road never produces a great result. It's all about comparing yourself to you. Am I doing as well as I can? Am I putting in effort? Am I applying myself? Am I growing? Am I taking responsibility? Each day, am I becoming more like the person I'd like to be, irrespective of what other people think I should or shouldn't be doing?
So why is it a good thing for a young person to switch off to all those negative things that have been said about them, to switch off to being told, you're dumb, you're stupid, you can't do it, you'll never make it? Why is it important to disregard what you've been told?
That's such a great question, because often people would think about, how do I need to switch off? And how's a low quality question, because how's impossible. But when the why becomes big enough, like when you get really excited about finding something, so you're a kid and you get really excited about how cool it would be to create a fort or a cubby made out of sticks and iron and whatever, and your brother says, oh, you can't do that, but you know how cool it would be to have that. You find a way, you create a way, you come up with an amazing way that's never existed before. So I don't know how you shut it out, but I know why it's important, because I know if you don't find a way, then this could limit you for the rest of your life, and that's not what you want. That's not going to serve you, that's not going to make you happy. So it's so important to find a healthy sense of being you. So knowing why it's important will give you a way to find a way how to shut them out, to find a clever way to not be affected by what your classmates are saying about you.
Fantastic. All right. And what would you say to a teenager who, they've spent years feeling like a failure at school? They've spent, 7 years or 9 years just every day at school. They look around, they realise they can't seem to compete with their peers at school, and it doesn't feel good. What would be your advice to a teenager?
So I think as a teenager, you're much more able to manage how you're feeling and what your emotions are doing than you are as a kid. So often people will say to me, well, I'm not choosing how I feel. This is just how I feel. But it's amazing, because how we feel is determined by what we're focusing on, by the words we're using to others and ourselves, and what we're doing with our body. So if you make any changes in what you're focusing on, so for instance, if you focus on 3 people that don't like you, of course you're going to feel flat and stressed and anxious. But if you focus on the 10 people who think you're great, well, all of a sudden your emotions change. If you focus on the things you're not good at, of course you feel flat. If you focus on the things you are good at, you feel totally different. If you use negative words about yourself, or even to others about yourself, then you feel no good. But if you choose words that are good and positive and uplifting, that changes how you feel. And the same is true with what you do with your body. If you mope around, if you have your head down, if you rub your face a lot, if you slouch, if you haven't had a shower and you haven't slept well and you've been eating junk, you feel terrible. But if you walk with your head held up and your shoulders back, you've got a clean shirt on, you've had a shower, you've eaten well, you exercise, that leading with your body totally affects how you feel about your situation. And that's in your control. No one gets to choose that stuff for you. You choose your focus, you choose your words, you choose what you do with your body.